All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Freedom Filled Life podcast with your hosts, the bombshells, Cassie and Shay. We are talking today about the real reason that you are not hitting your revenue goals. I know that's kind of like a little dig, but don't worry, it's not what you think. And we're going to give you some really helpful advice today on rethinking your strategies to hit your revenue goals this year. So we're going to get into that, but hey, Cass, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Hello. I love that you introduced us as the bombshells. I feel like it's so circa 2015. I love it.
It was like, yeah, it just kind of rolled off the tongue. I don't know where that came from. I don't feel like I've ever introduced us that way. I definitely don't think I've ever introduced myself that way, but here we are. I think it's because you're like super sporty today, and I kind of am just like, you're rocking like bombshell vibes, like, yeah, like getting after it on your Peloton and everything.
Yes, exactly. I'm wearing like my base. I feel like I just wear my baseball cap when I want to channel sporty vibes. And that is very often. I think like at least 5 out of 7 days a week, I am sporting the like, I don't want to wear my sweatpants and I don't want to still be in my PJs while I'm working. So let me just like go full athleisure. And I always have some plan to work out, whether it happens or not. That's up for debate. But sometimes, I mean, like you mentioned, I have a Peloton again because we had one back in COVID and then didn't have one for a while after we moved back to the States. And Shay,
what?
We snagged crazy Peloton deal on Facebook Marketplace.
Dang.
So yes, it is just like staring at me while I'm sitting here at my computer working. And so I think just even that, like the stare down is helping me just get my butt on there more often.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. I moved my walking pad. I am not as intense of a hit girly. I'm more of like a steady state walking pad with a TV show on. But I put it in like out like visually so I could see it instead of putting it away underneath my bed. And now I walk every day on it because it's just there. Like it's like, hey, I'm here. Like use me.
Yes. Yes. The seeing it, just like seeing it there. I do that for my vitamins. I do that with my water bottle every day. And it works. So I feel you, girl.
Yeah, I literally have my vitamins like literally right here, like ready to go, like lunchtime. So that is in front of my face because I wasn't taking that. So we are the same sometimes. So
yeah, that's what we realize. We're like same, but also so different.
So different. Yeah. Well,
I also love getting into the combo for today. I like that you said like, ooh, it's like a slight dig, but also we have, good things to talk about. Don't be scared away by this episode because I think that you're going to find that there are some hidden opportunities to scale your business. And even you and I, Shay, we realize there's hidden opportunities to scale our own business. And so I think that is kind of one of the reasons I'm so excited to talk about this particular topic. And I think it's not really widely talked about as openly, and how you actually go about figuring out like what are those hidden opportunities for growth inside of your business. And we obviously see that so often with our clients inside of our Scale with Purpose mastermind. So not only are you getting what we do with our business, but also what we're seeing behind the scenes of all of our clients' businesses as well, and what areas of opportunity we're really tackling with them to grow to multi-six figures as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to dive into the strategies that we have for you and the strategies that like we've personally used as well.
Okay, well, if you are a notes person and you're taking notes, there are 5 strategies we're going to dive into today. But before we get into those 5, I did want to kind of preface this that I think one of the kind of things that holds people back from hitting their revenue goals, and Shay, you and I talk about this often. We talk about this with our clients inside of Scale with Purpose. And it sounds a little woo-woo, so stick with me here because I want to uncover it a little bit more, but is really not growing or scaling for your definition of abundance. And so sometimes we have these aspirational revenue goals that we have heard from other people. It could be from, I don't know, listening to podcast episodes or just being on Instagram or taking a look at what other people are doing. And it just seems like, ooh, success must be multi-six figures. Success must be 1 million. Success must be X number that you might even have written right now as your 2025 revenue goal. And I always like to think about, where did this number come from? Like, is this based off of a percentage of growth from last year? Is this because you have certain team growth goals or investment goals that could be for the business or even personally that you want to hit this year? Where is this number coming from? Is this what you deem that you want to have for your personal income or personal salary? These are like personal desires you have. And so, Shay, I think just before we get into the 5, kind of talking about, how we take this holistic approach when it comes to choosing even what your revenue growth goal or number is.
Yeah, I think that plays such an important piece, especially when we're coaching people. And I think it's very eye-opening that everybody has a different version of what they want, let's say with baseline salary. And I'll kind of get into how we decide that. But what I see is that everybody wants, around this multi-six-figure or the $1 million mark, right? It's just kind of these vague numbers. And when you break it down, it's like, well, why? And so when we look at that and we kind of think about, how do you figure out what like your ideal version or your goals are? Let's be a little bit more strategic about it than just seeing a shiny object syndrome style number. And so where we usually start, like I mentioned, is salary goals. Depending on where you live, depending on what your needs are, depending on what your share of your like household income is, I have seen that number, that salary number just varies across the board. And this is not what people are talking about on Instagram and the other places where they're always talking about revenue, right? So we're very profit first. So it's like, well, what can we take home out of the business to fund our lifestyle or our investments outside of the business? So the first place there is looking at what you want to take home on quote unquote your salary and setting some goals around that versus, kind of just taking whatever end of the month profits are. I do encourage you to really look at taking something that's steady, look at what you need versus what you want, and then a buffer in for what you want as well, and sort of have also a scalable salary goal. Starting there and then working backwards, what do you want to invest into the business? Is there something that you think will help your growth significantly? What does that cost? Factoring in taxes, factoring in your operational expenses, and then also factoring in, are you launching something new? And how is that contributing to your revenue goals? And almost allowing, instead of you picking a number and trying to go after it, work backwards and see like, oh, my business wants to make, $200K in revenue this year, because then trickling down, it covers operations, investments, taxes, and my salary. Like versus $1 million, you just don't, maybe your business is only wanting for the next year to make that amount. And that's always, you can always look at, what did I do last year, and look at year-over-year trends can show you if you change nothing, then you probably will trend in the same direction. But it's always good to look at, well, what are your goals for 2025? And just allow the numbers to kind of help you set your revenue goals versus you just picking a number out of the sky.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up, because that is one of the 5 financial data really holding the key to your growth. And you talked about, your numbers are telling you something, and what is the story it's telling you, and are you listening to that story, and do you even know what those numbers are? So I know, Shay, here at Bucket List Bombshells and also working with our clients, you really are the COO. You are managing our finances, our operations, and you also help our clients manage their finances and look at their cash flows, their financial goals, and we help them, establish what we call their CEO dashboard. What are some of these key metrics we should be tracking when we are looking to scale?
Yeah, when we're looking to scale, The metrics that you want to look at is, well, your profit margins, because if you're scaling, typically that means that it's either going to require an investment into the business, into your operations, or probably your team. Most likely for most of our clients, the investment that's going to cut in the most of the profits is scaling up your team, which is great. But, then you need to look at your pricing model, and then you also need to look at your offer suite and making sure that all of those three things are contributing to that bottom line profit and achieving your salary goals. So kind of like what I spoke about before, I'd say the 4 key metrics is set a salary goal. That's a goal that you can use to go after, and then allow the rest of the numbers to fall into place to allow you to achieve that salary goal. And then looking at when you're scaling, primarily your team costs or whatever it's going to cost to do that new thing. So then working backwards, your offer suite, your costs, and then the pricing of that offer suite. So those are the things that I would look at when it comes to looking at your cash flows and just like what story your numbers are telling you.
Yeah, that's so helpful. When it comes to how you are converting clients, where are clients coming from, but how do you go about tracking, let's say we do have clients that we're taking discovery calls with or strategy calls. How do you track the success of those, the volume that you're doing? How does that work? And how does that play into the scaling numbers, or we're talking about like hidden opportunities that people might not be paying attention to as they're trying to grow their business?
Yeah, I think that some of the hidden opportunities right off the bat could be your sales conversion rate. So a big opportunity I think that we've seen with our clients is who are your leads, and getting really like clear on who is your target audience is fitting your offer suite. So the people that you're having conversation with they don't have the budget for your services, or they are more wanting a white glove service and you don't offer that. You want to listen to these. So sales calls, conversion rates, where I like to start, and just understanding the conversations you're having will give you a picture as to the offers that you have, and the opportunities that you have in your offer suite could come from the conversations you're having on these sales calls. And that's where you can really open the door to adding new things or reevaluating your pricing. Or if you don't want to lower your prices, obviously no one wants to lower your prices, then we need to look at your leads. We need to who are the people that are purchasing your high ticket offers, and how do we get more of them? Also, which of your offers take the least amount of your time or are the least expensive to execute? And then looking, are those the ones you're selling on these sales calls or not? And if you're not, then we need, again, working backwards, better leads in your funnel to then convert those into your higher ticket offer. So those are some of the things that I would look at when it comes to the metrics around your sales calls.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because we do have clients that fall into kind of this pitfall or hidden opportunity where they have multiple packages. But once we analyze the data and we realize the majority of revenue and even profits are coming from one particular package, then you can make a decision of, do we need these other packages? Is that just adding confusion or just volume? Or, we think that they're working, or we think that they're adding significant stability or revenue and even profits to the business. And in reality, they're not. And we could just be doubling down in one area, or in this case, one particular package, versus having, 5 packages. We could really just have one that is the most profitable, and honestly, the one that we kind of do want to sell.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought that up too, because I think, well, I guess I brought it up and then you responded to it. But what I wanted to say on top of that though was also, if we are seeing that our best clients are purchasing a specific offer, we can streamline. So we don't need multiple offers. We want to have less offers on the front end of pitching, and then add-ons are great. And then increasing the lifetime value of that customer once you've closed them as well is something that I think is a really missed opportunity if we're still talking about offer suites right now. And it is easier, I think the stat 7 or 10 times easier to convert someone who is already a client than going out and finding a new client. So if we think about these are ideal customers, your favorite clients that you've worked with, how can you create more things after they take the original offer from you and you produce that for them? What are things that we can add on? What are opportunities of recurring revenue that we can add on to basically continue to work with the same clients and create a longer term relationship with them, which leads revenue wise, we're talking numbers, leads to an increase in the lifetime value of that client, over a specific period of time.
Yes, I'm so happy you brought that up because we have really started to look at, and we've done this for quite a while, I think behind the scenes, we're always using financial data to really optimize what is already working. And I think there was some time in our business where it just felt like sometimes like things weren't performing as well as we wanted them to. It's not scaling as we want it to. And I think that over the last couple of years, we have taken a really different perspective shift. And first, when something isn't working as well as we want it to, we sit down and analyze what is already working. That could be within one particular product or program. That could also be a specific marketing channel or lead generation strategy or even sales strategy. So this applies to lots of aspects of the business. And we sit down and we talk about or write inside of a Google Doc because we are Google Doc girlies. We have so many Google Docs about Google Docs. But we sit down and we want to look at what is already working. There might be things for a particular product or program that are working. And then we sit down and think about, okay, what are the gaps? What are the missed opportunities? And I think it's really interesting because in that process, it becomes a lot more about refinement rather than just scrapping everything. And then in that as well, we simplify, and simplification has been a main value point for us in the last couple of years, and then amplify what is working. And that's where things become just tweaks. Like we were talking about these hidden opportunities. Sometimes it is just a couple of tweaks, a couple things that aren't working rather than scrapping an entire product or rather than scrapping an entire service or an entire program. And so kind of going back to the financial data, when you can look at the financial data and then also sit down and you can take a qualitative approach as well and analyze like what is working well, what are clients loving about this service, what are clients telling me that, they're so happy about this particular program or the results that they're seeing from this offer. We want to amplify those things. And then that's where we just kind of write down a bullet point list of what types of things that we can adjust and change. I think a great example of this is one of our past clients who came to us wanting to scale her brand and web design business. She was already doing so well. She had clients who were raving about working with her. And as many of you know, if you have a brand and website design business, these are typically a one-time project, right? You constantly, every single month, need to find new clients. So like you were talking about, Shay, the recurring revenue or being able to leverage the trust that you've built with potential clients. And even in our client's case, she had people being like, how can I work with you more? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And she was doing things for free, just complimentary. Like she loved working with these clients. She wanted to continue supporting them, mostly in website management or posting blog posts or creating social media graphics, like really things related to branding and website design, since that is the project that she had executed for them. And so when she came into our Scale with Purpose Mastermind program, we sat down to think about how can we leverage all these clients who want to continue working with her and also create a recurring revenue model that I think is not as common, but is extremely important for a business model that is not structurally or inherently recurring, like social media management, for example, or virtual assistant packages or OBM or PR services. We have lots of clients that already inherently in their product suite or in their business model have recurring revenue, which is fantastic for consistency and stability. And I think it makes it even more important when you have a business that really relies on one-time projects, that you can leverage current clients and dream clients that you've loved working with. So we helped her create a post-project membership offer, basically going to all of these clients that were asking her for continual help and assistance. And we came up with a membership offer package. And the other thing I love about this structure is that it is still a bit of an experiment when you're creating an offer like this. Yes, we had clients who were asking her for this, but we never know if someone is really, when it comes down to it, going to purchase or pay for this ongoing service, especially that's very different than the service that they had worked with her before, which was like a one-time large payment for a brand and website to be launched. So once she actually launched this membership, very behind the scenes to her current clients, like I said, it was a bit of an experiment with this first version. So she just had one tier, like one price point, one version of the membership somebody could enroll into on a recurring basis. And this is private, like only for clients who had launched their brand and website with her. She started having these conversations with current clients. Obviously, they love working with her. And they were like, at first, she wasn't getting the sales she wanted to see. And I wanted to point that out because we were like, okay, this is strange. Clients want to continue working with you. She had just started sending out emails to her current clients and asking them, like telling them about the offer for the membership and being like, here's a link you can enroll. And we were hearing crickets. I think there was only like one or two enrollments, and she was starting to feel really discouraged. And we were like, okay, going back to how you can look at it from a different perspective and analyze something where like something doesn't make sense. Like clients have been asking for this. They love working with you. What's the missing link? We didn't think it was scrapping the whole concept and idea. It's just finding those tweaks, those hidden areas of opportunity, especially when you launch something new that aren't working. And so we asked her to send out some personal emails to each client and ask what questions they had and if they wanted to jump on a call, because we realized that clients wanted to talk to her, talk it through, which was very similar to the discovery call process of why they had worked with her in the first place. They're just those type of people. And so after she had these short sales calls with current clients, she got a slew of current clients enrolled in the membership, and she was so excited. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so relieved, but also so excited to hear that clients want this. And we realized that we just needed to have that personal touch point, and we needed her current clients to be able to ask questions. They wanted to ask her questions about the membership. Now, another area of opportunity that came up in that is that on these sales calls with current clients, they were like, well, I love this membership. Like, I want to be in it, but the version that you have, like, I need more. And so that's why they weren't enrolling in it, because they wanted to talk to her, basically be like, this is very cool, but I want more than your current package has. So fast forward, we developed 3 membership tiers, which of course, as you probably know, went up in price. I think the most expensive tier is a little bit over $1,000, like $1,200 to $1,500 a month, which was a huge jump from the smaller tier that we had originally created. And obviously in that, the team, the junior designers that she has are doing more. And so it's just so interesting to see out of this whole process, how really analyzing your business from this perspective and being able to add recurring revenue as a revenue stream in your business. And then particularly for her, one of the goals that we had set was, how amazing would it be for the business if all business expenses minus her personal salary were covered solely by the revenue generated from the membership. That would mean that anything new, any new brand and website design projects would essentially be, cherry on top. I know we're talking about just breaking even. We're not in business to break even, but still just the pressure that was relieved that prior, the entire business model relies solely on new clients all the time. And that can be difficult sometimes when certain industries also have seasonality that play into it. But being able to leverage the trust that she's built with current clients, and then also basically create a offer in her product ladder that adds substantial stability to the business without only relying on one-time projects for her type of business model was just an absolute game changer. Okay, speaking of offers, because I do think that this is one of these pillars that we want to cover in today's episode about those hidden opportunities and just something that we've seen in our own business and something that definitely a lot of our clients that come to us that want to scale their business, we see this opportunity so clearly from the beginning. And I also think that this is one of those annoying ones sometimes that is hard to see from the inside. Like you likely as a business owner created your offer suite or your product ladder or your packages the way they make sense to you. But a very good indication that it might not be the best structure or something might not be working is if your potential clients are struggling to make a decision. You are, you're asking a lot of questions like, which package should I get? I don't really understand. Or maybe you're even, not hearing back from potential clients after discovery calls. And we're thinking, why is my offer not the easy yes for these potential clients? So that we usually see in this area is you have too many offers. And there is just such a decision fatigue for potential clients. I like to think of this as like a la carte, like when you sit down for brunch and there's like a 25-page brunch menu. Shay, you know me, there's nothing gives me more anxiety than trying to choose off a 25-page menu of like, what the heck I'm going to order for brunch.
I know, right? Yeah. So I feel like my first business is actually a really great example of that. So when I had an OBM business or, VA, I think that's kind of like interchangeable terminology. I did what I think a lot of VAs like to do is have a la carte. I feel like even one of our current clients is going through this transition as well, I feel. But I'll give you my example of just having every single service under the sun for any type of client, anybody who wants to work with me. And you come on in this call, and yes, I do my best to identify, but I really thought what people wanted was because I want a 25-page menu to choose what I want because I am a decision maker. I thought that other people were more clear. I thought clients, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I thought clients were more clear on what they wanted. And that ended up not being the case. So I thought I'm going to tell them I have all these different skills, essentially my a la carte menu. And those listening may feel this way too, because this happens when I do strategy calls with people, is that we put all of our skills out there. We, label it under whatever is considered a service. And then I want the client to pick. Basically, you can have a completely customized option, which sounds like an ideal service, but I cannot tell you how confusing or how many times a client would just be like, well, what do you think I need? And I'm like, okay, well, I want to sell you on everything. So you need everything. But then it's like, they don't really need that. So I was just always creating these packages. And it ended up being, especially also when I started niching into working specifically with online coaches, it just started to be more and more clear that they need very specific things for the reasons that they are coming to me for. And so when I switched into a package mode and created 3 package offers, I did tier pricing as well, I got more inquiries, which means that I had left money on the table because I had an a la carte menu, so to speak, on my website. Or maybe even if I had packages, like I don't want you having like a ton of packages. People aren't booking calls with me because they are looking at my site being like, I don't know what I need or want from this. And so when I was able to streamline that, my sales conversion went up, I got more leads, and I ended up working with clients more long-term on higher packages. When you're doing a la carte, it sometimes can come out really low. Like I was working, this was like when I first got started. So I know we all take projects, but be like $300 a month. Dang. If I'm working for $300 a month, I'm going to need at least 10 clients just to meet my lifestyle expenses. So that's where we also look at that, where I get to build a deeper relationship. I get to work with this person longer term, and I get to charge more in a value-based versus an time-based structure as well. So I put that caveat there too, that typically when you have a bunch of services when you're just starting out, what I notice is we're doing hourly work, whereas I really highly encourage you to be doing a value-based deliverable style package structure work. So that's where I think that there's a lot of opportunity to hit your revenue goals, because you can create packages that are priced for value versus your time, and streamline and gain more leads and higher conversions, sales call conversions, based on my experience and also based on the experience of a large percentage of our clients as well.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that also leads to women who are underpricing their services in their business. And we see this as well with clients in our Scale with Purpose mastermind. And very specifically, it reminds me of a client who previously was undercharging for social media management, but she had a very freelancer, a la carte approach to her social media management services. Like you were talking about for your old business, it was just like, I can do social media services. I can do, whatever content creation strategy, like what do you need? And that also leads to constant customization. But like you were just talking about, clients have fatigue because also on the other side, like they don't know what they need sometimes because they're not the expert. And I think that's where making sure that the packages that you have or the services that you're offering are built to get results for your clients. At the end of the day, that's what we want. And so if a client is coming, they're not an expert in social media management, for example, and they're like, great, I just want you to post one post on Instagram a week, and they're hoping for significant lead gen and growth through Instagram, as the social media manager in this example, that's not going to lead to growth. That's not enough content. It's not enough of a strategy. There's so much more that goes into it. And so what we helped her do was create a signature offer. And in her case, she still has just this one signature offer. And by doing exactly what you said, Shay, by bundling her services for a higher value, we were able to significantly more than double the price that she was originally charging for. And we were able to get her totally booked out with her signature offer service. It also made it so much easier for her to do sales calls, because when clients are asking her what she offers and they need to make a decision, she only has one offer for them to choose from. And from the back end, she knows that if she's working with a client, doing done for you social media management services at this higher price point, she needs to make sure that it's built for her to be able to get results as a social media manager. You also mentioned when you were giving the example of your previous business, that you wanted to offer any service for anyone. And we have clients that come to us in our Scale with Purpose mastermind who have developed and created and are running very successful businesses. And they're at this peak where they want to be able to scale. And it is very clear when you and I start auditing their business, analyzing their business, taking a look at who their clients are, what they have been, asking of them, that they have a pretty clearly defined niche. But it's so interesting to me that when we start working with them, when you ask them, what is your niche? It is very muddled. It's muddy. And it comes with the caveat that these are just sort of the clients that I have fallen into working with. I'm not really sure it's a niche, and I do not want to scare off other clients that may want to work with me because I'm open. Like, you don't have to be this type of client. Like, I'll work with you, like it's fine. And I love this because just behind the scenes, I'm like, yes, I feel you, girl. We can work with different types of clients and we don't want to say no. We don't want to turn away revenue. And what I love about this is it's another one of those things that I think by having a business coach, someone on the outside, it's so clear when you and I come in that this is your niche. And not only is it your niche, this is the reason why your business is doing well, because people want you to be specialized in this industry. They love that you work with this specific type of client in this specific type of niche, for example, therapists or lawyers or nonprofits or real estate agents or arts and nonprofit communities. Obviously, all the ones that come to mind are our clients that we have in our Scale with Purpose Mastermind. But these are very great examples of specific niches. And it's the reason why the client is choosing to work with, their particular business. It's not because they are extremely generalized or that they just have this skill set. It is the full package. So I find it so interesting that when we come in from the outside, we're like, we just need to double down and amplify this niche. And there is an opportunity, a significant opportunity hiding in your niche.
Yeah. Every single time we have niched a client into a niche, they have significantly added more revenue to their business, which is what we're talking about today. I also want to say that you are working with your niche. You are just avoiding talking about working with your niche, and that is hurting you. But if we just start talking about the fact that you work with these people who are working with you and raving about you and sending you referrals, which is why then you keep working within that niche. If we just start talking about it, you will add revenue. So I just wanted to drive that point home.
Absolutely. I think the question is when you are trying to, hit those big revenue goals, it's like, I've worked with dream clients. I want more of them. So how do I attract more of these dream clients? And I think this is a really, really important piece that gets missed. And like I said earlier, I think it is hard sometimes to see from the outside. And, I will even say, honestly, it is hard for me sometimes. I feel like I have to do like extra, put on a different hat, be like, okay, pretend you are outside of this business. What are you seeing? What do all of your clients have in common? What are their common pain points? Are they all coming from a specific, type of location? Do they have an underlying value that is very similar? These are deeper things that we dive into beyond just, the industry that they're in. Maybe there's even more, there obviously is more, your clients are more nuanced than just an industry. And I think what's really impactful as well, speaking to how you can hit those revenue goals, is that once you niche down and very specifically who your niche is, it makes everything else in the business so much simpler. And by everything else, I mean sales, I mean lead gen, because you're no longer confused or trying to cast out this massive wide net of like so many different types of industries. It becomes so clear and simple. For one of our clients in our Scale with Purpose Mastermind, like we were mentioning, she has social media management services. We created her signature offer. We also niched her down into the niche that behind the scenes she was serving, which is lawyers. And we just made this front and center. And then when it came to developing her sales and lead gen strategy, it became so much more clear and simple that when we're doing guest podcasting, she needs to get on podcasts that are for lawyers. She needs to be at networking events that are for lawyers. If she's going to go to conferences, she should go to conferences that are for lawyers. Like, that is where her dream target audience is, where her buyer personas are hanging out. And then kind of leading all the way down to the sales funnels and bringing it back to what you mentioned, Shay, earlier in the conversation of improving your sales conversion rate. I think that this is where this becomes easier and simpler. especially because nowadays there are a lot of online businesses out there. There are loads of social media management agencies. So when you get on a discovery call or consultation call, sales call, and with a lawyer in this example, and you are a social media strategist or manager for lawyers, or you are the social media manager for nonprofits, or the PR specialist who specializes in working with these types of arts organizations in this location, that makes you the go-to person. Like, you are the best fit. That makes that dream client the best fit for you as well. And that's where we've seen, going back to what I was mentioning earlier, like being that easy yes for your clients. I think that's really where we see increased sales conversion rates, increased clients, increased revenue. And then since we already analyze your product offering and your product suite, we already are selling the offers that have better profit margins and that we know are working for our clients. Okay, the last and arguably most important, even though I think these are all important, I really do feel like it becomes like a puzzle that you're trying to put together all these pieces. When they all seem to perfectly click, that is where significant revenue growth happens. And you're like, it makes so much sense, but all the pieces individually can feel confusing. So as we can tackle each one of these, and then, we put together the holistic system, I think a lot of this just starts making so much sense, especially for a lot of our clients. So speaking of sales and lead gen, this is the very last one. I'm sorry if you were taking notes and I wasn't clear about each of the steps. I will make sure before we wrap up that I talk to you about the free resource that we have for you. So you'll get all of these steps written out for you, along with the questions that we've asked ourselves and asked you here. Okay, so Shay, you know that most of our clients come to us being extremely reliant on word of mouth and referrals, and that's really gotten them to this successful spot in business, but they're hoping to scale beyond that, and they don't know how to get there. What should they be paying attention to? What other opportunities are lying out there when it comes to sales and lead gen?
Absolutely. I think the reason that we can't scale on a word of mouth model is because it's so reliant on someone else speaking about our businesses and not us speaking about our businesses. It's about someone else. Hopefully someone talks about me this month, and then that person that they talk to likes me enough to reach out. So there's not a lot of consistency. I think it just fluctuates a lot. And I think that's where they come in, is there's a lot of stressor behind it. And because they've experienced highs and lows in word of mouth traffic for their services. I think it's incredible that we've built a business off of word of mouth at this stage, or you've built a business at this stage off of word of mouth, because that is a testament to your services and your customer experience. So we are not ever going to not take word of mouth referrals. And I think maybe incentivizing your current clients to send you more, awesome. But if you want to scale, you are going to need more leads. That's just kind of like the number fact of the matter. But the first thing that people come to me is they are like, okay, what is my social media content plan? Or what I should be producing more content, but I don't want to. It's always with this asterisk of like, they're like stressed because they're like, the only thing I've seen people doing is content marketing, and I don't want to do content marketing. And I don't think you need to do content marketing for a service-based business. It's not where I put you first. It could be absolutely a complementary plan. But if you're coming to me and talking about word of mouth, but you have a lead gen opportunity, what I want you to be proactive. We need to get you in front of your target audience, which is why it's really important to know who your niche audience is. So Cass mentioned a couple of these things before when talking about the niche. Where is your audience spending time? What podcasts are they listening to? Get yourself a guest interview on there. What networking events are they at? Following them, using social media or using something like LinkedIn or Instagram to send out follow requests, wait for them to follow you back, and start a conversation. That's an invitation versus like cold pitching people. So when we're thinking about where can we get a volume of inbound traffic, we are not going to use the algorithms. Like, that is a long-term strategy that can absolutely be implemented. A short-term strategy is figuring out where your audience is and figure out how to get in front of them. So creating something of value for them. Podcast interview is great. A live workshop is another opportunity that you can do this. And you want to get their email address in exchange for something. So if you're on a guest podcast, make sure you have a way to either book a sales call with you or download a free offer from you. If you're hosting a live workshop, you should already be getting their email address to like attend the live workshop. If you are partnering with someone like a coach or course creator who has your target audience, what can you offer to their student base? And in exchange, you should be getting their contact information. So then now you have these leads that you can now nurture and start offering more content to, offering your services to, getting sales calls booked, pitching your offers to. Like, your email list is gold. And I highly encourage you to focus on outreach efforts and focus on your time getting out there in front of people versus creating content and waiting for people to come, or versus the word of mouth referrals and hoping that someone is going to recommend you and then the person is going to find you. You need to go and find them and where they are. And that's, I think, the next step after word of mouth for lead generation opportunities.
Absolutely. We call it pitching more than posting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that you're so right that like we just, and I've gotten caught up in this before too. Like, I like content, and as a marketer, I think it can be easy to just be like, oh, more content, just like the answer is more content. And I think that it gets away sometimes from just the basics of business, and it's finding your dream clients. Where are they hanging out? Making sure you're in front of them, delivering value, like Shay was talking about, these guest interviews or networking events, or, whatever the visibility opportunity is, making sure that when you're there and when you're visible, you are delivering significant value. I think that's something that has very significantly changed in the past couple of years. I would even say in the last year or two, Shay. Like, I think there is so much noise online. There is so much to consume that when you have the attention of your dream clients, target audience listening, that 30 minutes or 60 minutes needs to be high level quality knowledge, content, expertise, things that they typically aren't getting for free. And that is really going to make you stand out amongst all the content noise that's out there. All right. So we covered a lot of content here, and I know I didn't number everything. So for those of you that wanted maybe to take notes and were struggling since we kind of jumped around a bit, we have a free resource for you called Behind the Scenes of Our $6 Million Growth Strategy, which is basically our revenue growth audit that we covered in today's episode. If you are like, I am ready to refine and optimize and level up, scale my business, and really dive into these hidden opportunities that we talked about today, we're going to help you pinpoint the biggest revenue opportunities in your business, walking you through this exact process that we use, like we talked about in the episode, what's working in your business, what's not working in your business, and what are maybe some small but really powerful and impactful tweaks that could really unlock the next level of growth for you and for your business. So think of it as kind of like your CEO growth blueprint, so that you can really scale beyond maybe even word of mouth or referrals, if that's where a lot of your current revenue is being generated from, and be able to hit those big revenue goals that you have. So if you want to grab it, it is totally free. You can just click on the link inside of our show notes.
All right. Well, don't forget to grab that freebie in the show notes there. As we are wrapping up now, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for coming on that journey. I feel like it kind of had some twists, it had some turns, and it was really fun. As I always say, every episode to me is fun. I love recording these for you ladies. We've been getting some incredible feedback from the women listening to this podcast. So if you are one of those women who have reached out to me recently, thank you so much. I'm over on Instagram, in the Instagram DMs. Let me know what you want to hear. Give me a little bit of love. I love it. A little bit of encouragement. I love words of affirmation. That's my love language. So pop in there. Many of you have already been doing that. So thank you so, so much. And if you're a new listener and you love this episode, we would be so grateful if you left a review for us, a rating for us. That would mean the world to us as well. So again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Freedom Filled Life podcast. Bye, ladies.